episode 2. Today we actually get the 8HP gearbox fitted. Please remember to like and subscribe and follow along for the build.
Right, when fitting the torque converter back in, when you first put it in, it will click down to a certain position. Then what you want to do is slowly rotate it. And what will happen is it will click down again into the second position. Once you hear that click, you know the torque converter is fitted correctly. If you don't hear that click, then the torque converter isn't fitted correctly, and you will have all kinds of problems. You've got to get that click when fitting the torque converter back in. It lets you know that it's seated properly. There are so many videos online showing you this. Just make sure that it does click down.
Right, here I'm just checking the clearance for the pilot nose. People have reported before that the pilot nose sticks out a little bit too much and will knock against the end of the crankshaft inside the YB. You can see here with the conversion plate that I'm using, there's plenty of clearance. The only thing I had to do was trim around the outside of the actual pilot nose to make it a little bit thinner so it sits in the hole a little bit better, in my opinion. Just gave us a little bit of room to be able to move in and out with a gearbox, you know, just make it slide in and out a little bit better. AHP flywheel and conversion plate. Two bolts up there, and there's a bolt, two bolts behind coming from the other way, two bolts up here coming from the other way. I know there's one missing here, I haven't put it in yet. The flywheel is done by a 3-stage torque setting on the nuts. First setting 49 Newton meters, second setting 65 Newton meters by a final stage of 95 Newton meters. You can see at the end of this little clip here that I'm just going around checking to make sure all the nuts are done up at 95 Newton meters and I haven't missed any.
I had to remove the anti-roll bar to give a little bit more room to be able to fit the gearbox in there. Use the ratchet strap to pull the sides in, take the tension out so we was able to drop it. And if you come around the front of the car now, just underneath, you can see we've got all that room now. That's given us taking the anti-roll bar away, so we should be able to fit the gearbox up in there.
We have put the gearbox onto some blocks to try and be able to pivot it so we can finally get on top of the jack. The box is very heavy with the torque converter. We have minimal room up being able to move underneath. We had to reposition the jack here. We had to put a block on the jack so I could have a little bit of leverage so I could tilt the box and get the pilot nose to line up with the center of the flywheel. Luckily, not like normal clutch kits, you have splines on an input shaft, but on the torque converter you actually only have a pilot nose rather than splines, so it's a little bit easier to line up. Once that's in, you've got two dowels on the outside of the bell housing for the gearbox that lines up into the conversion plate for the 8HP that goes onto the engine. This was a real moment of achievement here when the gearbox finally mates into the engine perfectly. You can just see it slide in place. friend is now busy at the rear of the gearbox putting the temporary mount in. So we've got something to hold up the rear of the gearbox, so the weight of it doesn't pull down the engine and maybe mess up engine mount or split anything like that, or a bit of rubber.
Right, as you can see, we ain't got a professional workshop. We are literally doing it on the driveway. Couple of makeshift stands there. We was a little bit worried about the Cosworth actually flying off a proper axle stand, so we made them up so we could be 100% sure. Now let's go and have a look underneath. As you can see that, my good old mate Ronnie designed a rear temporary mount for the gearbox, which we've got in there lovely for now. And as you can see, all out the front, there's a conversion plate for the AHP, and the gearbox is fitted. Need to come along and we will be making up a proper mount for the back. Right guys, we're going to have a quick look at the rear gearbox permanent solution rather than a temporary solution. Here we have a 4x4 gearbox cradle. This is a Sapphire Cosworth, Escort Cosworth, the same as long as it's a 4-wheel drive one. 4-wheel drive Vibrotechnics gearbox mount, all on the back there. A good friend of mine, Ron his name is, he has been working on a rear mount for the gearbox. Once this is finalised, once we got it welded up, I'm going to make a plate version of it. I've got a test fit underneath the car. I will be on probably episode 3, where I cut the hole out, fit the Vibrotechnics into the plastic 3D printed part. Then I shall offer it up underneath the car onto the gearbox and see how it all fits up. It should fit something like this. And then over the top onto the gearbox. I believe it's that way. Yeah, it is that way. And that will make a permanent solution. But yeah, these will be available. I will put a link in the description once they're made, in probably maybe episode 4, something like that, to a company that will make them. They'll have all the specs for them, but also we will be releasing all the specs because everything in the Cosworth game seems a little bit expensive these days. And me and Ron both in the same opinion. It would be nice if we could just have things a little bit cheaper so people like ourselves and hopefully some of you that do fancy doing the 8HP conversion can get it done cheaper. Thanks for watching the video. Remember to like and subscribe, follow on, join our Facebook, join our TikTok. Hopefully we're building something special here. Everything to do with the 8HP conversion, we will be covering the wiring loom. Anything else, any questions you've got, just ask in the comments. I'll try and get back to you. But I think you'd be surprised just how basic and how easily this can be completed. Take care. Till next one.